Welcome to A Learner's Journey. My name is Molly Sanders, and the goal of this podcast is to inspire and motivate you by connecting you with a variety of passionate horsewomen and men who have dedicated their lives to helping horses and their people. I'm grateful you're here. Welcome to the latest podcast. So for this episode, I'm going to try out doing it solo, and I'm going to do this probably once every few months. And the theme will be where horsemanship melts into life. Because if you're anything like me, your horsemanship, like you'll notice things at the grocery store or driving, and you're practicing your horsemanship, or you're thinking about it, or you're applying it in a relationship. Many people with kids have said that it has changed their parenting. So that'll be the theme, how that has happened in my own life, and hopefully it will spark ideas in your own. So today I want to talk about the allow. It's a tiny little phrase with so much meaning. For those of you that have studied the Pirelli program, you've heard about the allow as a part of the circling game and the squeeze game. And it's a step in the process of both of those games. But as you delve further and further into the program, you realize how much deeper the meaning is. And for those of you that aren't in the Pirelli program, you'll know what I'm talking about as I go further into this, because it's something that is an element of great horsemanship. So what I'm going to share with you is what I've come to understand with the allow. I'm not saying this is the way it is. It's just in my journey, the different people that I've studied with, the different experiences I've collected along the way. This is kind of where I'm at right now in my journey. Talk to me in 2 years. I'm sure I'll have more to add on to the definition of this concept. But basically, the allow it's the silence between the notes in your horsemanship. It's what creates the music and the harmony. It is the space that you allow to observe your horse and listen to what they're telling you. What is their body language saying? Can you figure out what their idea is? And there's a phrase that many of you have heard that comes from Ray Hunt, that I'm not sure if, I'm not going to say it verbatim, but basically the art of horsemanship is causing your idea to become your horse's idea, but to understand your horse's idea first. The allow is that part of understanding your horse's idea. So if you take trailer loading, for example, if you were to ask your horse to approach the trailer, you put a little feel on the line, you're asking him to head toward the trailer. The allow is that time that you give to observe, where's their mind? What is their idea? Are they bending their body and thinking away from the trailer? And if you don't adjust to fit that, you're just going to end up encouraging where their mind is, where their idea is. You haven't done anything to change their mind and cause them to think along the lines of your idea. It's also the space that we give. So let's stick with that example of the trailer loading. So let's say that you ask your horse toward the trailer. Maybe they're a little bit tentative. Maybe they've snorted a little bit. They've taken a step back, but their eyes are on the trailer. They're checking it out. They're doing that thing where they put their head up and down to be able to see more clearly. They're smelling, they're looking. The allow would be a really important time in this example to allow your horse the space to explore, because their idea and your idea are aligned. Your idea is that they load confidently in the trailer. Their idea is, what is this thing? They're thinking about the trailer. They haven't necessarily put their feet in there, but they're thinking toward the trailer. If you interrupt that thought, you have a likelihood of causing them to think away from the trailer. So giving them that time and space, as long as they're thinking in the trailer, can be pivotal. And it's often what makes people that are great with horses, it's what makes it look so easy with them, because they're allowing that time. for the horse to explore and get confident and be like, maybe I can do this. It also is a time that if you allow that space, they'll build more trust in you, that you're not going to force them into something. So like I mentioned earlier, it's huge. It's a huge topic. It's also been one of the more challenging things for me to learn. And I say for me to learn, I don't want that to imply that I'm done learning about it, because I'm not. But that tendency that I think all of us have as humans to be more direct line, to like with the trailer, to miss that understanding that the horse is actually thinking about the trailer and they're curious and they're exploring it. And if we push them because we're thinking, hey, my idea is for you to get all 4 feet on there, we're going to miss that golden opportunity for them to build confidence and trust in us. So the allow is a really challenging thing for humans to learn, but so incredibly worthwhile. So I know for me right now, in my horsemanship, I'm spending a lot of time just hanging out around my horses. I just finished a virtual massage clinic with Aaron Sauer, who many of you were in, and it was so phenomenal. And that's what I'm kind of immersed in right now, is exploring using massage to help my horses relax, to help grow the bond. It's just been kind of incredible. But that allow is there as well. I'm trying out different techniques and different maneuvers, different places on their body, and then really observing what is their response, what's their reaction, what's their idea, are they wanting me to be in a different place? So that allow shows up there as well. So I hope this little piece has got you thinking about where this fits into your own horsemanship. You might just be hearing this and go, oh yeah, got it. I got that. It's second nature. Or maybe it's hitting you and you're like, oh, such a good reminder. Yes, I need to have more of that in my time with my horses. It might be a completely new topic for you, and that's awesome. So no matter where you are on that spectrum of understanding this concept, I hope that the next time you're with your horse, it's forefront in your mind. All right, so this idea of horsemanship becoming life, I mean, that what we do with our horses, and how it calls us to change and grow and get better at things, be better people, be better leaders, be better communicators. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's impossible to learn these concepts with our horses and not have it seep into other areas of our life, and in such a good way. So I want to share with you how this concept of the allow has popped up in my world. And it's definitely been like, there's 3 words when I think about 2021. And I've kind of been reflecting over the year and preparing for 2022, which is just crazy. It's crazy that we're that far along into the future. Like, I remember sitting with my brother, talking about 1990, like, oh man, that seemed like so far into the future. And now here we are. It's just nuts. So anyway, I've been kind of in a reflective mood. I've also been taking a few days off in between projects. And I have 3 words that have popped up into my head for this year. So one thing is, I'd encourage you to think about, like, if you were to think back over 2021, what would be the 3 words that would be the strongest words that represent your year? And actually, in one of the things I definitely wanted to mention in this podcast is, I've shared with many of you, those of you that are on the newsletter, I've been sharing with you that I want to start a Facebook group for a learner's journey, for you and for me, and for others to share about their journeys and respond to these podcasts and the weekly emails that go out, because I hear from so many of you, and I hear these really cool stories or these different ways of looking at what I shared, new ways of thinking about things that I'm like, oh man, it'd be so cool for everybody to have access to this and to maybe have some conversations started. And so that is coming, and you'll be getting an email on New Year's Eve that will invite you to the Facebook group, and it'll open on New Year's Eve, and start in for 2022. So this would be a great opener for you to share your 3 words for 2021. Anyway, mine that have really popped up are allow, gratitude, and attention. And I'll be talking about the attention piece in another email that'll come out. I think it'll be next week that I'll share with you about that, because there's some really interesting things that I've been playing with and learning about that I think you'll really enjoy. So the allow, where that has really been prominent in my past year, and really for the past few years, is not forcing things to happen, especially when I have days that I'm feeling not 100%. I'm feeling fearful or full of doubt, or I'm tired, or allowing space for that. And also allowing space for these wild ideas that I come up with, allowing space for time to listen to you, and what people are sharing with me. And because it's so easy to get waylaid by these fears and doubts that can come up. And maybe you're one of those lucky people that doesn't have any of those, but I would guess that's probably not true. Everyone, and one of the things I've been so grateful for this year is the opportunity to talk to so many horsemen and women that I admire, and without exception, all of them experience fears and doubts, and I'm not good enough to be doing this, and why should I think that I can be doing this? I am so incredibly grateful that they are able to allow those fears and doubts to be there, but continue to place their focus and their attention elsewhere, to keep focusing on the inner voice that I'm going to talk to you about a little bit in just a minute. But if they allowed those fears and doubts to take over, what a shame. I mean, we'd miss out on some amazing education and inspiration, and I keep coming up with that concept when I do these podcast interviews, and then when I talk to you and other students, and hearing about your journey. And I just feel like I want to encourage myself and you and everyone else to keep listening to the inner voice that tells you to follow the things that bring you joy, and the dreams that you have, and the fears and doubts. They're gonna be there. There's just no way around it. They're gonna come. But just know that it's a huge part it's your brain's job to keep you comfortable, to conserve energy. And when we come up with these crazy ideas that are gonna take energy, and they're gonna maybe take risk, our brain's job is to say, doesn't the couch look a little better? So I just think what a cool thing for if more and more of us followed that inner voice. So I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, and maybe you'll see yourself in it. You'll identify, maybe you've had times in your life where you've had similar things happen. That's my hope. Or maybe it'll just be interesting to listen to. So in thinking about this allow, it goes hand in hand with this inner voice idea. And it's when I get quiet, there are ideas that come up that are aligned with my values and who I want to be. And this year is no exception. There have been so many different opportunities that have come my way where I have had to get quiet and go, nope, that that's not it. Even though it's like, oh man, that could lead me to a place where, I'm possibly with someone with a big name, and I've had to listen to that other voice, that quiet voice that keeps pushing me along this path that I think I'm meant to be on, and that is to bring people that I admire, horsemen and women that I admire, to you, and to connect you with other horse lovers like you, and to help us in this community not feel so alone, feel like we can identify with each other's journeys. So anyway, when there's opportunities that come along that don't align with those things, there's a part of me that gets all excited, but allowing that space, allowing time to get quiet and not make a decision right away. I'm a ready, fire, aim kind of person, and over the past 10 years I've really I think balanced that, or brought more balance to that part of myself. It's still in my nature, I still go there, but I know that about myself, and I'm able to go, okay, you know what, don't send that email just yet. Don't reply. Don't respond. Give yourself a day or a week to make any decisions on that. So I allow that time for me to be able to listen to that inner voice. So 2020, some of you know this story. I'm not going to tell the whole story. Someday I will. But 2020 rocked my world. I think we as a globe got rocked with the pandemic, and other things. So collectively, I think 2020 rocked all of us. And then I had a few other things that happened that really caused me to have to listen to the inner voice when it went against all the things that I had been working toward. So I got an opportunity in 2020 to start doing these virtual clinics. Many of you have been in them. You were in them, in the clinics I'm talking about, like so with Linda, and then I had an opportunity to do a clinic with Pat, and I went to campus. And while I was there, I realized that the values that are guiding me weren't the same as what was guiding Pat. And it's not that mine are better and that he's not good or any of those things. It was just that I realized in a huge way that we weren't going the same direction, and it rocked me in a big way, and really it my heart broke. Everything that I had been working for over a decade, I realized that I needed to make a new choice, and it was really, really hard. Many of you were a part of it with me, and I'm so grateful for you. People that were in the MAP group and Levels Up, and the rocking of my world rippled into yours. And I had all sorts of things, all sorts of different messages that were being sent to me. You need to stay the course, don't give up. You need to do what's right for the community. You need to, just, I guess those are the main ones. And I just had this other part that kept surfacing that was telling me that I needed to do something different, that I needed to let the Pirelli professional chapter come to a close. And then some of you know this story. The day that I sent in my resignation letter, I got into a bad wreck with a project horse, and I'll link to, I tell the story in a blog post, and because I learned so much from that, and I wasn't there. I had no business riding that day. I was pretty emotional, So I didn't allow space for that inner voice in that part of the day. And I ended up breaking my back. I had a compression fracture of one of my vertebrae and put myself out of commission for a good chunk of time. Um, and then another part of the story that I haven't shared that some of that are closer to me in proximity and know more about me personally. Um, I had another rocking of my world in that I came off my steady Eddie Lakota. He was the horse I was going to rebuild my body and my confidence after I was cleared to ride again, and had a fluke little spook. My saddle slipped. I I ended up coming off, and I had my hand in the reins, and I ended up breaking my finger. And that incident really shook me because that was, that's my steady horse. And I was like, I can't remember coming into the house after it happened, because I reset my finger. it was not it was not in alignment. There was no harmony in my finger, and I was like, I am not going to the hospital or going to the doctor. I'm I it was ego driven, by the way. It wasn't anything else but that, and which is just crazy. But I reset my finger, got Lakota situated. I got back on and rode him a little bit. Anyway, and I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, for those of you that know that TV show. And I came into the house, and I talked to Brett, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what's going on? It just, I hadn't come off a horse in, oh man, 12 years. And then boom, boom, within a couple of months. So I was still trying to figure out, like, some of you were along the ride with me. Those of you in the MAP group, many of you, I was still doing virtual calls with. You were a big part of me trying to figure out what the heck I was going to be doing. And when that happened, I realized, in a big way, that being an instructor needed to pause. I needed to be a student. And not that I wasn't before. I've always been, like, I'm always learning, but it was like, it just was this clear message that right now you have no business teaching. And so I allowed space for that. I mean, that was, I'm on this end of it now where I'm not emotional about it anymore, but it was a heartbreaker. I mean, that was who I was. I mean, it was my identity. So I allowed space for this new voice, and I knew, because I'd already done the virtual clinics. The ones I did with Linda were like a dream for me. Working with her, she's such an amazing human, and was really inspiring to me, and it was fun to be a team with her. And so I knew that the virtual clinics, I knew there was something to that. And I feel like, and I'm sure that you can identify with this, like any change you make in your life, you look back over the years and it's like, oh my gosh, all these things that I've done have kind of prepared me for this new thing. And that's the way I feel. I think back to when I was teaching fourth grade. I was an elementary school teacher for 12 years before I jumped into this wild idea to become a Pirelli instructor. And boy, talk about voices telling me that was the craziest, stupidest thing I could do. But there was that inner voice that was pushing me to do that. And a huge part of being a teacher, what gave me juice and what drove me, was creating community, was building this classroom of little humans. I sound like an alien. Building this classroom of little humans and figuring out how each of them learned and what was important to them, and connecting them with each other. I loved that. I absolutely loved that. It drove me. So that piece, and then my passion for horses and how much we can learn from them, and that part of it and then all of the people that I've learned from along the way, these all have come together. And then not only that, but another little piece of my story, when I first left the Pirelli Ranch, so I was there for a few years, and I left to venture out and become the instructor. Brett and I, my husband and I, moved to Spokane, Washington, in eastern Washington. I'm from the west side of the state, but he has family on the east side, so we decided to settle there. I loved it, and it was such a great group of people. Maybe one of you is watching this. Maybe it's you. Such a wonderful group of people, and it was the beginning for me, and building that community. And circumstances presented themselves where moving to the west side of the state was a possibility, and it's where I'm from, it's where my family is, and we decided to do that. Well, it was really hard, leaving that community. It was in the back of my mind the whole time that, well, one, I intended that I'd be traveling there regularly. Well, that didn't pan out. But so in the back of my mind, I kept thinking about these people, and it might be you. And so I started thinking about how can I still include them? How can I still reach them? And so then, because of Brett and his technological magic, we started to put together these monthly meetings that were already happening. The MAP meeting, those of you, you might be a MAP member, and those were happening in my living room, or in my arena, and it was a gathering of people once a month to build community and connect people, and we were able to bring that to the folks in Spokane virtually, so they were able to tune in. So that started the whole virtual thing. This was 2 years before COVID happened. So when COVID happened and shut everything down, and I was supposed to do this in-person clinic with Linda, and it wasn't going to happen, that's a whole long story that some of you know, but that whole idea of the virtual clinic came about. I pitched it to Linda. She thought, let's try it, and away we went. And anyway, I guess my point in sharing all of this with you is, all along the line, with the heartache that happened in 2020 and the body ache, it allowing space for that inner voice and allowing time to see is that truly, is that aligned with my values, or is that fear-based or ego-based? And it's just been a game changer, and it's led me to these amazing opportunities. So I hope that you hear something in this for you, and that if maybe you've got that inner voice telling you to try something, and you've got all these other voices saying not to, how can you try it in a little way? Like, maybe it's just with one other person, or it doesn't necessarily have to be that you leave everything behind and you start anew. That's kind of my the way I've done things. But anyway, I just feel like if all of us could do that, it'd just be such a even better place than it already is. And you're meant to be here. And I really, you may have heard me, if you've been listening to the podcast or you've been around me, you may have heard me say that the world needs you. And I believe, I know that. And it's such an amazing thing that we're here to begin with, that the stars aligned, or whatever it is, the science behind it, that we are this unique being, that there will never be another one like you, 100% like you. And we have this one shot at it, this one life. Nobody gets out of here alive. And what a unique opportunity. So I hope you can have more allow in your life, and listening to that inner voice. And I am so incredibly grateful. I'm so grateful for you, for being able to share part of my journey in this little bit of time here, or a lot of time. And I'm grateful for that you've listened, and I'm grateful that you're a part of this. And I'm really excited for the year to come. There's a bunch of really cool new projects and learning opportunities that'll be coming your way. And I'm really excited about the Facebook group. So be on the lookout for an email. If you're on my mailing list, be on the lookout for an email that'll come your way on New Year's Eve to invite you to the Facebook group. If you're not on my newsletter, I would love for you to be. It's basically once a week I share either a blog post where I'm writing about something that hopefully is inspiring, or the other week would be a podcast where I'm interviewing a horseman or woman. And we've got a ton. There's a bunch recorded already that'll be coming your way, and I'm super excited about them. I know you're gonna enjoy them. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate you. And closing 2021. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays to you. And here's to 2022.